Cameron with CBM Reviews here, and we're on the road to Infinity War. We are starting Phase 2, and this entry is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 was directed by Shane Black, and of course it starred Robert Downey Jr. and Jon Favreau and Gwyneth Paltrow, but this time we also have Guy Pearce and Ben Kingsley in the mix. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, we're talking about the worst that Marvel has to offer. Not saying that Iron Man 3 is a bad movie. It is a solid C student and a C of geniuses. Number one, the story by itself, just as a whole, is okay. The movie itself is okay. It's trying to be that stereotypical Shane Black Christmas movie, and it doesn't need to be. I remember watching it back when it came out in 2013, and I recently rewatched it, and I just got really sick and tired of them pushing that whole, hey, remember it's Christmas, remember it's Christmas. I didn't like that. A lot of people complained about the Mandarin. I have gotten over it. I don't think that it's such a big gripe. I understand that in today's society, you can't do that OG Mandarin like that. Especially with Asian markets in cinema, you can't do that. So, not upset at all by that. Everybody does a fine acting job in this. Nobody really does a bad performance. I will say a standout performance is actually Ben Kingsley. He really doesn't phone in anything. Like whenever he's playing the Mandarin live on your television, you believe that he is that really despicable a terrorist. And then whenever he's Trevor, you really think that he's this buffoon. Like he goes from dark to light really spectacularly well. Guy Pearce, he's one of those bad guys that it's easily forgettable. There really wasn't much to him. I actually forgot how much A.I.M was prevalent in this movie from the first time that I watched it. A.I.M in the comic books is this advanced idea, was it mechanics? It can't be mechanics. A.I.M is an organization that runs with advanced ideas. That's the A.I. in A.I.M. And they usually run around with the yellow jumpsuits and like that have the square top. And they decided not to go with that obviously comical look. And A.I.M is usually also involving MODOK. They had no MODOK. If they would have had MODOK, that might have been a memorable villain. Come on, Marvel, you kind of left us. The reason why I think this is the bottom of the barrel, not just because it's kind of got a weaker story, but also because whenever you look at the entire scope, whenever you look at the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it is the only movie that has no lasting effect on the narrative as a whole. So, with all of the 18 movies that are out, because right now we have 18 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. If you take out the origin stories, boom, origin stories are gone. Now if you take out all the sequels that actually have some substance to add to the whole Marvel story that they're telling, there's one standout, and that's Iron Man 3. Everything that happens, they retcon or they just gloss over and act like it never happened. Pepper gets powers, let's take him away. Iron Man gets the shrapnel taken out of his chest, still wears an electromagnet. Don Cheadle is now the Iron Patriot, he's back to War Machine. I even forgot that he destroyed all of his Iron Man suits close to the end of the movie. And that didn't last long now, did it? Everything that happens in this movie has no consequence on the narrative as a whole. And so because it really has nothing to add to the story as a whole, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, you can skip this movie altogether. You're not going to miss anything as a narrative as a whole. If you want to watch it so that you get 100% completed, then you can do so. But it's just a solid C-ish movie. Really not much substance to grab here. Like I said, everybody turns in a great acting performance, but the story, in my opinion, just wasn't there. The direction just really wasn't there. And then the narrative as a whole is completely missing. But that's just my opinion. I asked people at Not Just Another Comic Con to talk to me about Iron Man 3, and we had a submission or two as well. So I'm going to let them tell you what they thought about it, because I think they were a little bit more excited about Iron Man 3 than I was. Take it away, guys.
I love everything about Iron Man 3. It's about me. Why not? I did not like the Malibu mansion getting destroyed, but, you know, Hollywood likes explosions, and you have to give them a good explosion. I like that Pepper got to have some of the action at the end, but the action should have been mine. I did not like all the machines getting destroyed, but I was able to rebuild them again. I thought the little kid that was the kid from the Christmas movie with the glasses, he was annoying, but, you know, I take it. I take it as it is. I like having fun. Rhodey's always a blast being around. Other than that, best movie on the planet. I still prefer Iron Man 1 because, you know, the bald bad guy, get to rub his head, and I call him Mr. Clean, and sometimes I get good luck.
Pepper Potts, we really liked her character. Especially the way they used extremists. And wrote that into the storyline for the comic books. To see a really strong character like that besides the Black Widow was a female character, yeah.
We go out and play on my first Comic-Con back in November. So that was definitely the first
To realize it was kind of the way Pepper stepped up and had to save Tony at the end.
Is this a movie that you feel like you definitely need to see if you are trying to play catch up in order to get ready for Avengers Infinity War?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because it's a really good segue into the other stories.
Iron Man 3 could have used some work. I really wish the script would have been a little tighter. The characters were developed a little bit more. Just, the movie was better. There's a lot about this movie I like, but there's a lot that I don't like. One of the things about this movie from the very beginning is you've got to remember this is after Avengers. And so in Avengers, we saw Iron Man's armor really take a beating. I mean, he absolutely was dealing with energy weapons and everything else, and he's got some really tough armor. Now, I realize that in the new movie, in Iron Man 3, some of his armor was experimental, so obviously it's not going to do quite as well, and none of them seem to do well. It doesn't matter what the threat is, whether it's from the extremist guys or it's from anything else, his armor just seems to constantly just fail. And so that's one of the biggest issues I have about this movie is, like, his armor is not any good. And even though we get to see at the very end all these different types of armors that he's been working on, none of them get a lot of screen time, and none of them seem to last very long. There's a huge difference between if somebody's in the armor and somebody is not in the armor. If somebody's in the armor, that armor seems to last quite a while. But as soon as, like, there's nobody in it, boom, they rip the head off, whatever, it doesn't ever seem to last very long. And so that's one of the biggest things that bothers me about this movie. Also, can't help but say it. Mandarin. Oh my God. They could have done so much with Mandarin. You know, the idea of science versus technology. A lot of fans had hoped that eventually Doctor Strange would come into the mix. This is a great way to get mysticism in there. But instead, we get Trevor. Trevor was funny, but I kind of was wondering, hey, is this a fake out? Like, is this really Mandarin and he's waiting for Iron Man to drop his guard? No, it's just Trevor. That was really disappointing. And with Ben Kingsley too. Ben Kingsley's a fantastic actor. Why would you just throw him away like that? Him dealing with post-traumatic stress after everything that happened in New York, after the Avengers and all that, that was really neat. We got to see Tony really be vulnerable. And it plays a little bit into Iron Man 2 when, he had been, oh no, what's going on? We want to show him bleed. This is him bleeding a little bit. This is some of the psychological trauma and everything else, and he's having trouble dealing with this. And for somebody that's been narcissistic and self-absorbed and, kind of manic, where I can take on the world and, who's going to stop me? That really is an interesting story arc for him. But, some of the things, too, that are just absolute throwaways. When he gets his heart fixed at the very end, and they're like, oh yeah, well, I was cleaning up some stuff, figured I'd get this fixed too. Really? That's almost in the closing montage. Like, it's not even given a full minute, I don't think. that was just sad. Like, that itself could have been an interesting kind of a story thing, even if it was just a side thing. But instead, it's a throwaway. It's a complete throwaway line. Guy Pearce was fine. Pepper Potts was okay. But, you know, like, Guy Pearce creating Mandarin, and this movie was just really, really convoluted. And the action sequences, while they were there, just weren't powerful enough for me. It felt weak. It felt like a first draft. I really just wish they'd done more with it. I like Iron Man 1 and 2 better than this movie. This movie to me is largely forgettable, and I wanted more, especially coming after the Avengers. I just really wanted more.
I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time and talking to me about Iron Man 3 as well as my submission. Thank you very much. And now we're getting ready for the next ones. So next up on the docket, if you want to send in your video submissions, we're looking for Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy. I know 2 of those you may be more excited for than one of the others. In any case, send in your submissions to comicbookquizbowl@gmail.com. If I use your submission in my video, you get bonus entries for the giveaway. You didn't forget about the giveaway, did you? If we get to 200 subscribers, one lucky person is going to win all 18 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe on Blu-ray. And of course, second place gets a gift certificate, third place gets an action figure. So get on that. You definitely don't want to be left out in the cold on this whole thing now, do you? That is it for Iron Man 3. Tell me what you guys thought. Did you actually enjoy the movie, or were you on those sour grapes like me? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and if you're new here and you want to get in on that giveaway, subscribe, man! Lastly, don't forget to share this with all your friends. As always, this is Cameron with CBM Reviews. We'll see you next time.